Hi everyone, should you work with your spouse? Okay, this is not for everybody. I am very excited to dive into this question today. I'm Dr. Karyn, if we haven't met. I'm the co-founder of a global leadership company. I have been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. I also am partners with my husband. We work with family businesses and all types of businesses globally. And so we work with a lot of people that work with their spouse. And so this is a topic that often comes up. So I'm excited to kind of dive into this topic with you. I'm going to give you 3 things to really think about whether or not you should go into business with your spouse, or whether or not, if this is actually a good idea or not. Okay, so this is going to be 3 different things, everybody, to check in. And if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so you actually get notified when we have new videos actually coming out. Okay, so I want to just kind of highlight some interesting stats for you just before we get into the 3 things to think about. So from a stats perspective, if you follow me in other videos, you know that I love numbers, I love stats. So this one comes out of Small Business Administration. 10 to 15% of married couples in the US are involved in some kind of family-run business. 10 to 15%. However, it actually, if you're in a family-owned business, it actually jumps to 60 to 70%. So a lot of people, if you're in a family-owned business, that you're going to be working with your families, family members, either family members and or spouse. So let's talk about the pros. Okay, so the pros are, obviously, you are working with your family. You're going to have hopefully there is a real commitment as a family, especially if it's a family-owned business. There's a real dedication, a legacy piece around making sure that the family business is going to be successful. The pros, again, it really kind of forces couples to be really clear in their communication. There's a lot of times more of a shared goal. There can be a lot more flexibility. So again, if your spouses, one person's in the family business, the other person might be able to be home with the kids, or vice versa. So there's some really positive parts, and I'll speak as somebody who owns a family run business. I love it. Okay. However, it is not for everybody. Okay. It is not for everybody. And so let's talk about the cons. The cons are, it can really massively throw off your work-life balance. A lot of stress can be around that people, all of a sudden their relationship turns into a bit of like a business relationship or a transactional relationship. It can cause a lot of conflict, especially because there's a lot of decisions that have to get made in that business. And sometimes what happens is people can kind of get stuck in, there's a power imbalance. And all of a sudden you're not husband and wife anymore. Now you're kind of like manager employee. And so it can cause a lot of conflict and just like this power imbalance. And so you got to be really, really careful. Okay. So, if you can figure things out, I'm going to give you the three steps here in just a second, then it can be amazing. But if you don't, then it can be really problematic. So in terms of who thinks it's a good idea. Okay. So again, interesting stats. 85 to 90% of couples in business say they enjoy the experience. 69% of couples indicated that working together has improved their relationship. Interesting. Okay. So because you've got that shared goal. However, 31% actually said that it actually added to their stress. Okay. So, and that comes out of the Family Business Institute. So let's talk. Is it a good idea for you? So just because it's a good idea for me or a good idea for your bestie does not necessarily mean that it's a good idea for you. So you want 3 things to kind of think about. And to do so, I want you to really think about what are the variables that you need to actually really have a great thriving business. So if you have not yet gotten our business scorecard to really help accelerate your business, I would love for you to get your hands on that. So below, just write down business, and somebody from our team will send you our free scorecard. It's a 1-pager that really helps entrepreneurs make sure that these are the things that they need to have in place to really help them accelerate their business. Okay. So 3 things, everybody. Number 1, know thyself. Know thyself. When we work with a lot of teams and businesses, you'll have some people are the visionaries. They have the visions. They've got the ideas. They're all over the place. And every entrepreneur, for most of them, a lot of times they're the visionaries. Okay, they've got lots and lots of ideas. Right beside the visionary, though, you need somebody who's actually going to implement the ideas. And you've got the implementer or the operator or the vice president. You can call them like different names, but it's those two roles that do really well together. Somebody who's got the vision and somebody who actually can implement the vision. A lot of times, interestingly, a lot of times in a marriage, if you've watched me on other videos, you know that a lot of times people marry their opposite. So in a business, it's interesting because a lot of times those two are married to each other. Not always. I see some of the couples that we work with, some of the family business, you have two visionaries. So you got lots of ideas, but you have nobody to implement it. Or sometimes you have somebody who you've got two operators, but you don't have anybody with the vision. So ideally in a business, you actually have those two roles are actually coming together. Somebody who's got the vision, but somebody who actually can implement it. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, which of those two are you? Are you more the visionary or are you more of the operator? And if you've got two visionaries, you have to think to yourself, okay, we actually don't have the right roles then. We actually, what you could do is, and we do this with some of the family business that we work with, when we actually help couples realize, well, we really do want to work together, we kind of give them both the role in terms of a visionary, but then we need to then go hire either executive director, an operator, a VP. Again, we can call it different titles. But the key thing is you have to really know yourself, because not everybody is wired for this. And so you need to kind of really understand, how are you wired and what is going to play to your strengths. We have lots of different courses and assessment tools that we actually help people. Ask yourself, is this a really good fit for you? Does this kind of match your natural personality profile? Does it match your skill set? Because like anything with business, there's risk involved. And so you want to be wise in your decision making. Okay. So number one is know yourself. And if you need some help on helping you figure out, is this a good idea? Then definitely reach out to our office and let us help you figure that out. But that's kind of like step one. Step two is my recommendation is you test drive it. So before you say, yes, you know what, let's go into business together, that's very risky. It's always risky, but it's even more risky when you're talking about doing it with your partner. And so my recommendation is you test drive it, and you've got exits and options to get off the highway if this is really not a good pathway for you. And so what I mean by that is, a lot of times and I've done this with clients where either it's, should I work with my spouse, or should I partner with my best friend, or should I hire my kid in my family business? A lot of times we'll get questions around that. And my recommendation is you test drive it. So you say, you know what, let's test drive this. I think this is a good idea, but let's test drive it. Let's do 30 to 60 days. And at the end of the 60 days, let's really see if this is a good fit. Does it feel good to you? Does it feel good to me? Because in those, I would say anywhere from 30 to, I would say 90 days. That's generally in that time frame you will see. You might actually get the writing might be on the wall in the first 30 days. Okay. So you might want to, again, know your situation, know yourself, know your business, know your spouse. You might say, you know, let's circle back in 30 days and then let's do another check-in after 90 days. That might be a better fit. But the point is, right, whether or not, whatever that time frame is, there's a start and there's a finish. And what it does is it allows you to have a boundary around, is this a good decision? Because in that time period, you can observe their work ethic, how they make decisions, how they balance the books, how they manage their time, how they deal with conflict. Because you know what I find fascinating? Again, I've done this for a long time, that people can kind of operate in one way at home and with their spouse, with their kids, and even with their friends. But in business, it's like they operate differently. So you might like love your spouse at home and there's like this amazing chemistry, but you work with them, you're like, oh, I really don't like their work ethic, or they're way too laxed around boundaries and, you know, getting receivables from clients, or like whatever it is. Like, so you might find that in those 30 days, that test drive, that your relationship is really good in this area, but not so great in this area. And that's okay. There's not a right and a wrong, but what I don't want is for your relationship to really get sabotaged after you realize that maybe the working relationship is not good. So trust me, I have done this with a lot of clients, and I have a lot of clients that tell me, Karyn, I am so thankful you recommended a test drive, because in the first 2 weeks, I realized this is not going to be very compatible. And so this is great. So you've got to start, you've got to finish, and it doesn't have to completely, fall apart. So test driving, everybody. So number 1 is know yourself. Number 2, test drive in a period of time, 30 days to 90 days, somewhere in that framework. And number 3, let's say you're like, okay, you know what? This actually is good. We did 90 days. It works great. Then have really clear boundaries. And again, there's lots of different business frameworks and foundations that I'd actually want you to have on the business side. So again, if you don't have our one-pager, get our one-pager. It's called, just write down business and somebody from our team will send it to you. So assuming that you've kind of got the business model and structure kind of figured out, on the home front, I want you to set up really good boundaries, because the biggest issue for a lot of entrepreneurs and couples that work together is that it's like it's all merged. Like it turns into this transactional relationship. Keep work, business. So for example, my husband and I, we talk business during business hours, but come 4:00, it's like we are putting on another hat. And all of a sudden we don't talk business in the evening. We talk husband and wife in the evening. Now, sometimes, is there an exception to that? Yes, if we kind of close a deal or something's really exciting that's happened. But what we do in the evening is we'll preface it going, something exciting happened. Can I share with you something work related? So you actually ask permission, because sometimes if he needs to share something with me, I don't want to be talking business at 7:30 at night. So, it's really helpful for me when he says, Karyn, I'd love to share with you something. Are you okay if I tell you a work related thing really quick, 30 seconds? And sometimes it'll be like, you know what? No, please, let's talk about it tomorrow. Or okay, fine, if it's only going to be a couple minutes. And so, but we have that understanding. And so we have found in our relationship that works really well. So what you want to do as a couple is you want to figure out what are going to be your time boundaries, so that you kind of keep your business relationship separate from your marriage. What are your time boundaries? You need to talk about your financial boundaries. The level of risk is huge. Some people are massive risk takers and they're like, let's risk everything. And other people are much more conservative with their risks. So you've got to really figure out, what are we going to be okay with in terms of how much time, money we are going to be investing, and what are going to be those markers that we're going to have in terms of our own accountability. So that's kind of like more the business stuff that you'll kind of get on the one pager. But really setting up your time boundaries and your financial boundaries. Those are the two of the biggest ones I'd actually be recommending you really kind of hone in as a couple. And so when you do this, when you kind of get to know yourself and you understand what your superpower is, and you understand kind of maybe your role, and now you test drive, you're like, you know what, actually, I think this could be actually a really good fit. Then the next thing is, now you're going to apply all these business principles and best practice. And now it's around really applying and setting up some great boundaries as a couple. And when you can do all of that, then you can reap the rewards. For couples that do this, they will tell you, it's really amazing. It really is. I love working with my husband. However, we have figured this out, and this has not been a straight line. Sometimes through this, we have to realize, okay, we got to set some more boundaries up here, or we got to redo this a little bit different. So you really have to hone in those communication skills, but keep yourself focused on the ultimate goal, which is, let's have a thriving relationship and let's build a great business. And so but you've got to be really careful and strategic to making sure that they're in alignment with both. So hope you've enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I look forward to seeing you at one of our other videos.